Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about the independent film Dream Scenario. It came out in 2023. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, but it is available on Max for those who are subscribed to the HBO Max current streaming service, which is just titled Max. So it is available on there to stream for those who still haven't seen it yet, like me, as of recently. So in this independent film Dream Scenario, it does star Nicolas Cage, and he is this professor at this university, and he's basically a local celebrity because everybody that he's basically knows are. Um, the film says it's a global phenomenon, but as far as I'm concerned, the film basically takes place within this certain area within a certain town. I think it's in Massachusetts. I want to say. So almost everybody that lives there is basically having these dreams at night about something completely different, and he seems to always appear in them somehow, some way, but he doesn't really do anything in the dreams. He just keeps showing up in them for no particular reason. And so this kind of starts this social media sensation. He gets famous. People want to, do commercials with him. There's this character played by Michael Cera that claims that there's all the social media stuff they can make money off of him for, like doing Sprite commercials. I think there's even like a Barack Obama Foundation thing they could do advertisements for. And so basically, he gets off the ground running, and things are going really well. That dreams kind of even adapt into something more. Like certain people are even now having dreams where he's actually doing something in them, whether it's him being the romantic partner in the dream or him helping out with something. So basically, these dreams start to adapt after a while, and so he becomes even more famous for this even smaller amount of time. And but then things kind of turn for the worst when he starts to run into issues with stalkers. He has people breaking into his house at night. He has an issue with people doing graffiti on his car. He has problems of Twitter basically having this witch hunt against him. Like screw this guy. He keeps showing up in my dreams. Every time it happens, it just turns into a complete nightmare right then and there. And so all these dreams our people are having now are basically turning into nightmares. Like every time that they dream and every time it involves him, it's a complete nightmare of a dream that they have. And so basically, Nicolas Cage's character has to figure out now how can he protect his family, how can he keep his teaching job since he is a teacher at this university, while moving forward. Obviously, the whole advertisement thing isn't going to work out anymore. But how can he just live his life? How can he pursue a residence and pursue a job and pursue all the stuff that he needs to do to live his life and not have this terrible reputation on his shoulder of being the nightmare guy? And so, over the course of Dream Scenario, Nicolas Cage has to figure this out, and he has to take his family, his job, and all this other stuff with him in order to kind of complete this journey of how to get away from this really terrible reputation of being the nightmare guy. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed Dream Scenario a lot. I am kind of disappointed that I didn't see this in a theater. I really enjoyed it quite a bit, so it's definitely going to be a very positive review for me here. But very fun movie, very fun concept. Definitely had a blast watching this. Glad to see A24 definitely still pursuing like interesting concepts in films. So let's go over some positives and negatives as to why I really enjoyed Dream Scenario. While there's still some things I think could have been better about it as well. I am going to try to keep it as spoiler free as I can for those who haven't seen it yet. But let's go over some positives and negatives, the things I really enjoyed about it, while also feeling like there's things about it that also could have been better. So for my positives and negatives for this, for the positives, like I just mentioned, a very fun concept, very fun way of getting Nicolas Cage to do this kind of easygoing professor that wants to get this book published while just kind of randomly showing up in the most random dreams for people. I would say the first half, when he's kind of just the guy that shows up in dreams, is kind of where the movie has the most fun with its concept, I would say. And just really fun seeing Nicolas Cage being this dream guy that keeps showing up, and he doesn't really do anything like the people say. He just kind of shows up and observes what's going on, and he just kind of observes something else the second he sees someone else in the dream with him and stuff like that. So there's just really fun stuff like that I had a lot of fun with here. I also liked how imaginary and nightmarish the dream scenes felt. Whether it's a scene where a guy is being chased by somebody and he's running through this mushroom forest and Nicolas Cage shows up, whether it's a nightmare sequence where I think even one of his daughters has, I guess, this weird sequence where like he just kind of like walks towards them aggressively like this, and that's really all he's doing. He doesn't even have like a weapon on him or anything, and it's just kind of him charging towards one of his kids in their bedroom and stuff. So I just liked how, just like how when people dream at night, it's just kind of one of those things where you piece it together. You might be able to explain to somebody what you dreamt about, but at the same time, by the time you kind of take a couple steps back and think about it, it's like, wow, that is kind of just really weird. So I do like how the film captures that sense of dreaming where it could be very imaginary but also being very nightmarish. And I think the film really establishes and gets it well done with how well the dreams feel imaginary or how nightmarish they feel. I also like how the film shows kind of how awful and toxic that cancel culture can be. Because when this guy it starts to become the nightmare guy and no longer the dream guy, it really does ruin his life. He has his job under pressure. Like they threaten to make him, they threaten to fire him. His wife is having a hard time finding work. His kids are getting bullied in school. He has to sleep in a basement of a guy's house and smells like propane and the lights going all night long and just all this stuff there. Just like how can somebody live their life like that? And it just really goes to show how a simple text or a simple tweet or a simple social media post can just ruin somebody's life. And there's just so many of that same toxicness. It just gets them. It makes the situation even worse. And so I do like how the film really does depict just how awful cancel culture can be and kind of how the victims of it really kind of aren't able to live their life because of it. I also like Nicolas Cage's performance here, and I really like the character that he plays. And you really do feel sorry for him. It's one of those things where he just wants to get this book published. He just wants to be able to teach his classes at this university. And this thing that happened to him, he views it as an opportunity, but after a while, once the nightmare stuff starts happening, he just wants to get out of it as soon as possible. He just wants nothing to do with it. He doesn't even want to bring it up. He doesn't want his family to talk about it because I think he has like a wife and two daughters in this. So the performance he brings here and the character he plays are very good here. If you love Nicolas Cage like I do, I just love the guy. His performance and his character that he brings to this movie is just a ton of fun. I also like how the highs are really high here and the lows are really low in this movie, like in how they're depicted. How when you get famous and that you really want to kind of play off of that, even kind of like do this to people and be like, yeah, I'm the dream guy and stuff, and how when you get to the lows, you just want nothing to do with it. You want to just hide in a corner, go to places without people noticing you, and you just want to change your appearance and all this other stuff. And when you don't want to be a part of something, you really do not want to be a part of something. And it's just one of those things where I think the film does depict that really well. When Nicolas Cage had this opportunity, he definitely took advantage of it. But man, when things started to get bad, he wanted to get out of it as soon as possible. So I like how the film depicts that fame can kind of do that kind of stuff to people. And like I mentioned previously, you really do feel sorry for him. There's just a ton of things that this guy goes through that's really scary. Whether it's that stalker that breaks in at night or the stuff that he has to deal with as far as like his living situation and stuff. You really do feel sorry for him. So it is one of those things where even though this film is a dark comedy in a way, some of those scenes you just really feel sorry for the guy. It just looks like a really rough time that he's going through. For my negatives of this movie, though, unfortunately, this film does kind of lose momentum in its second half. And though the second half is more so about him dealing with the nightmare situation, I do feel like some of the best stuff that happens in this movie is in the first half. I feel like the editing is better, the writing is more clever, more interesting things happen to our characters. Even how the whole thing about him becoming this social media sensation, how that all got started. Once you kind of see how that started and got played out, all that I thought was better done in the first half because it manages to do like a slow build to where it's going, and by the second half, it's just the nightmare stuff. So unfortunately, like I said, the momentum does kind of wear out a little bit in the second half, specifically towards the ending. But the first half really has a ton of momentum, and I just kind of wish the film kept more of that. And when Nicolas Cage does go into like a rock bottom part of his life, when the things, when he really wants to get out of this whole nightmare dream scenario thing, um, the rock bottom moments for me, I felt kind of jumped around a lot. It's one of those things where he has it badly, he has it rough, but there's a lot of things where he gets certain resolutions to things really easily. Without getting too much spoilers, like I feel like his how he got a new residence felt very easy. How he was able to kind of just reconcile kind of how him and his wife's marriage was going to play out by that point in time. Some of the stuff I thought jumped around a little bit. So it's like how do you go from this terrible thing where he couldn't even go out in public to just getting a new residence really easily without having any kind of like bad followers or bad press or anything like that. Just to me, some of the stuff felt like an easy way out. So I thought that aspect was also kind of disappointing. They also introduced like this device without getting too much spoilers, and it's just kind of like that felt like a very easy way out of people getting over the whole Nicolas Cage thing. So I thought that part was kind of an easy way out as well. And I also thought some of the reality and dream sequences didn't transition as well as they could have. Once again, without giving too many spoilers away, there's like a scene where he's trying to attend this play that his daughter's in, and it does feel like a dream sequence. And the sad thing is, you find out in a later scene that that is something that really happened in the movie, that really happened within the reality of the movie, and certain things like that I think could have just been better. It's just one of those things where certain things that happened in the second half, once again going back to that, felt very exaggerated, felt very cartoonish, not even dreamlike necessarily, but just overly exaggerated to a point where I just had a hard time believing it. So I thought certain aspects regarding reality to the dream stuff and how they transition into each other, I thought could have been better handled in the movie. And there is some unresolved content here that I think could have had a better answer. There is something that Nicolas Cage kind of gets in trouble with. It's very brief. I'm not expecting the film to spend a whole lot of time on it, but the film, when it eventually works its way back to this moment that he gets in trouble for, it's just kind of a brief conversation, and they really don't do anything more with it. So there's just some unresolved things that happen that I think the film could have wrapped up a little bit better, rather than either just pushing it to the side or bringing it up in conversation at a later time in the movie. But overall, I'm going to give Dream Scenario an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a really well done movie. I think it has a ton of fun with its concept. Like I said, a couple of negatives along the way. It's not a perfect movie. I still think Adaptation is probably my favorite Nicolas Cage movie. It helps that I'm a huge Spike Jonze fan as well. But so 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really like this movie a lot. If you like Nicolas Cage, if you like the creativity that A24 tends to put with their original concepts and stories, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this movie. So it's an 8.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed Dream Scenario. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to give it a recommendation. I think there's just enough here where I can highly recommend that you sit down and give this movie a chance. It's really quite good.